There is a version of this case that has been circulating since the first week of May 2026. You have probably heard it, or some variation of it. The babysitter noticed the family had gone quiet. She reached out. No one responded. She called for help. Officers arrived. 4 members of the Mitchell family were found deceased inside the home on Kingston Street in River Oaks. That version of events is not wrong, but it is missing the detail that changes everything about how you understand what happened on that Monday afternoon. And for over 2 weeks, that detail was not public. The full picture was not in any news report, any official statement, or any of the dozens of videos and articles that have covered this case across every platform. What was circulating instead was a story with gaps, and in those gaps, the internet built theories. People questioned whether the babysitter had been involved or had known more than she was saying. People examined Thai's sister Lee Mai's carefully worded Facebook post and decided that its deliberate silence about circumstances was suspicious. People wondered about the timeline. Why did it take so long? How did so many hours pass without anyone knowing? Who could have noticed sooner and chosen not to act? And one of the most significant details about Thai herself, a detail that shaped how millions of people processed the weight of what was lost, turned out to be false, reported as fact, repeated across outlets, built into the public narrative, and never verified by any official source. On May 20th, 2026, Thai Mitchell's family broke their silence. They released a formal statement, and what they said did not just add context to a story people thought they already understood. It corrected details that had been reported as fact by major news outlets, circulated across social media, and built into the way an entire community understood what happened to this family. Some of those details, including one of the most repeated facts in the coverage of this case, were wrong. And the family made the decision to say so publicly, in the middle of their grief, because they believed their loved ones deserved to have the truth told correctly. This is a case that deserves that kind of care. Mai, Thai's maiden name, the name her family is now asking the world to use to remember her, deserves to have the record of her life treated with the same rigor that her family brought to correcting it. Maya deserves it. Maxwell deserves it. And the people who have been following this case deserve to know what the family actually said versus what the internet decided was true. That is what we are doing today. We are going back to the beginning with the information the family has now provided. We are correcting what was wrong. We are examining what is new. And we are being honest about what this new information changes and what it does not. Before we go any further, if you are finding True Crime Vault for the first time, this is exactly the kind of coverage we do here. When new information surfaces in a case we have covered, we come back. We do not report rumors as facts. We do not move on when the story gets complicated. We stay with the record until it is complete. If that is the kind of coverage you want, subscribe right now and hit the notification bell. You will not miss a single update on this case. Hit the like button. It helps this coverage reach people who are following this story honestly, not just for the clicks. Drop a comment below with the question this new information raises for you, because this community is paying close attention and noticing things that matter. Now let's go through exactly what the family said. The first thing the family addressed in their statement was the one that required the most immediate correction. Because if you have followed this case across any platform over the past 2 weeks, you have heard that Thai Mitchell was pregnant at the time of her death. That detail has been repeated in news coverage, in true crime videos, in comment sections, in the way people have processed and described the weight of this tragedy. The idea that not just 2 children were taken, but a third life that had not yet fully begun. And Thai's family, in their statement, addressed it directly. Their exact words were these: "The family would like to clarify that reports stating that Mai was pregnant are false. No law enforcement official has made such a statement and no such information appears in the autopsy report." There are 2 things in that sentence that deserve to be held carefully. The first is that the family is explicitly asking for Thai to be remembered by her maiden name, Mai, not Mitchell. That request is the family's, it is deliberate, and it belongs in the record. It is a quiet but significant act, the decision to separate her identity from the name of the man who investigators say took her life. She was Thai Mai before she was Thai Mitchell. and her family is asking the world to remember her by the name that was hers before anything else. The second is the clarification about the pregnancy. No law enforcement official ever confirmed it. It does not appear in the autopsy report, which means this detail, repeated in headlines, incorporated into scripts and videos, woven into the way an entire community processed what was lost, was never verified by any official source. It moved from an unverified claim into what felt like established fact through sheer volume of repetition. Multiple outlets reported it. Multiple channels included it. Once it had been in enough places, it stopped being treated as a claim and started being treated as context. And for over 2 weeks, while Thai's family was navigating the impossible weight of what had happened to them, they were also watching a false detail become a permanent part of the public story of who she was. It is worth pausing on what that means for how this coverage ecosystem functions. A detail originates, often from an unnamed source or a social media claim, and enters a news cycle where speed is the primary metric. One outlet picks it up. Others follow because it has been reported elsewhere. The verification standard shifts from confirmed to widely reported, and then it becomes part of the background of the story, the thing everyone knows, even if no official source has ever confirmed it. The family's statement is a direct public correction of exactly that process. And the fact that they used part of their first formal communication with the public, in the middle of their grief, to address a false detail, tells you something about the specific harm that unverified information causes to the people who are actually living through the tragedy everyone else is covering. Now here is what the family did confirm. And this is where the picture changes in a way that is both more specific and more devastating than anything the public record had previously contained. The detail about how the welfare check actually came about. Because the version that has been widely reported, that the babysitter and Thai's sister had not heard from the family and contacted police, is technically true, but it is massively incomplete. The full account, according to the family's statement, is something else entirely. And once you hear it, it reframes the entire timeline of how the world found out the Mitchell family was gone. The babysitter did not simply notice that her messages were going unanswered. She went to school. She showed up at Maya and Maxwell's school to pick them up. And the children were not there. Maya Mitchell, 8 years old, and Maxwell Mitchell, 4 years old, had not arrived at school that day. They had not been dropped off that morning. And when the babysitter learned that, and when the calls to the family went unanswered again, she understood that something was wrong in a way that went beyond a missed message or a delayed response. She contacted 911 and requested a welfare check at the family's home on Kingston Street. Think about what that moment actually looked like. A person who cares for these children arriving at a school pickup, being told the children never came in that day. Trying to call, no answer. Trying again, no answer. Something in that moment, not a theory, not a suspicion, just the specific weight of 2 children who were not where they were supposed to be, telling her that this was not a normal situation, and she acted immediately. She did not wait another hour. She did not tell herself it was probably a schedule mix-up. She called. This is the detail that the public record had been missing for over 2 weeks. And it matters not just as a fact correction, but because it changes the emotional texture of the entire discovery. The story that has been circulating, babysitter noticed silence, reached out, no response, called for help, is the story of a person acting on instinct, built from familiarity with a family's communication patterns. That is a meaningful story, but it is a different story from this one. This story is a babysitter arriving at a school, standing in a pickup line, waiting, learning that 2 children who should have been there since morning had never arrived. The school had not been able to reach the family. No explanation, no message, no one had called ahead. 2 children simply were not at school, and no one knew why. And the person who had come to pick them up stood in that moment and understood, before anyone told her anything, before any investigation had begun, before any officer had been dispatched, that this was not something with a normal explanation, that something had happened to this family. And she called. That is a different kind of knowing. That is not the slow accumulation of unanswered messages building to an alarm. That is a single, specific, physically present moment of understanding that hits all at once. and the babysitter responded to it immediately, without hesitation, and correctly. The family also confirmed something that directly addresses a specific set of theories that have been building online about the timeline of that Monday. They stated clearly, and on record, no family member or individual entered the home prior to law enforcement responding. Nobody went inside before the officers did. The scene that police found when they entered the home on Kingston Street was exactly as it had been left. Whatever was inside that house when officers walked through the front door, the evidence, the positions of the 4 members of the Mitchell family, the physical record of everything that had happened on Sunday night, it was undisturbed. The conspiracy theories suggesting that someone had been inside the home before police arrived and had knowledge they were concealing are addressed directly by this statement. The scene was not disturbed. No one entered before law enforcement. That door is closed. And it is worth naming directly why this confirmation matters beyond simply correcting a theory. When a homicide investigation relies on physical evidence from a scene, and in the Mitchell case, where no motive has been released and no official explanation has been provided, the physical evidence from the scene is among the most significant things the investigation has. The integrity of that scene is foundational to everything that follows. If someone had entered before police, if anything had been moved or disturbed or removed, the evidentiary value of what officers found would be compromised. The family's confirmation that the scene was untouched is not a small procedural detail. It is a confirmation that the physical record of what happened in that home is intact, and that whatever conclusions the investigation reaches will be built on uncompromised evidence. And then the family confirms something that has significant implications for where the official investigation stands. Something that most coverage of this statement has not fully absorbed. They stated that all security camera videos recorded inside the residence have been turned over to Houston police to aid the investigation. There is security camera footage from inside the home on Kingston Street. It is now in the hands of investigators. I want to be precise about what this means and what it does not mean, because it is easy for a detail like this to travel and expand into territory the evidence does not support. We do not know what the cameras recorded. We do not know what angles they covered, what timestamps are on the footage, or what specifically investigators are examining. We do not know whether the footage captures the events of Sunday night, or whether it provides context for the timeline that investigators have said they believe placed the deaths sometime Sunday evening rather than Monday afternoon when officers arrived. But here is what we do know, and it matters considerably. In a case where no official motive has ever been released, where the 46-minute gap between the police dispatch and the official documented time of death has never been publicly explained, where the timeline between Sunday night and Monday afternoon has never been fully accounted for in any official statement, and where Houston police are still actively asking for tips and information from the public. The existence of security footage inside that home means investigators may already have a record of what happened. They may know more than they have shared. The investigation is not at a standstill waiting for information. It has footage. It has evidence from inside the home that the public has not seen and that investigators are actively reviewing. Whatever conclusion this investigation ultimately reaches, it will be grounded in evidence that goes beyond what was visible to the officers who responded to the welfare check. That is significant. And it means that when an official account of what happened finally does reach the public, if it does, it may be more complete and more specific than anything the public discussion of this case has yet anticipated. The investigation is not closed. It is moving. And quietly, it may be moving in ways that none of the coverage of this case has yet had access to. Now let me talk about the online theories that the family statement directly addresses. Because for over 2 weeks, in the absence of a complete account of how the welfare check came about, the internet filled the gap with speculation. And some of that speculation fell on specific people who were grieving, people who had done nothing wrong, in ways that were unfair and that the evidence does not support. The questions about the babysitter, why it took so long, whether she knew more than she was saying, whether her proximity to the family suggested some kind of involvement, were always based on a gap in the publicly available timeline. People did not understand how the welfare check happened. The official account was incomplete, and without a clear explanation of the specific sequence of events, Those questions had nowhere to go except deeper into speculation. Now we have the explanation. And it does something important that speculation never can. It resolves the question without leaving room for alternative readings. The babysitter went to school to pick up the children. The children were not there. They had not been dropped off that morning. That is a specific, physical, unambiguous fact. That is not the behavior of someone with something to hide. That is the behavior of someone doing exactly what she was supposed to do, showing up for two children who needed to be picked up, and discovering in the most ordinary way possible that something had gone terribly wrong. The timeline that people found suspicious, the gap between Sunday night and Monday afternoon, is explained by the sequence of events the family has now described. The children were not scheduled to be picked up until school dismissal on Monday. The babysitter was not monitoring the family's communication throughout Sunday. She was doing her job, and when she arrived at school and learned the children had never come in, she acted immediately. She made the calls. The calls went unanswered. She contacted 911. There is nothing suspicious in that timeline once you have the complete picture. There is only the specific, terrible mechanics of how a family disappears from the world while everyone around them is going about their Monday. She did not fail to act. She acted the moment she understood something was wrong. And the people who built theories around her behavior or around Lai Mai's silence were working with an incomplete account that the family has now provided in full. Those theories did not survive contact with the actual explanation. They didn't need to be rebutted. The facts, once available, are their own refutation. The questions about Lai Mai, Thai's sister, whose carefully worded Facebook post announcing the deaths did not mention the circumstances and did not mention Matthew, were similarly rooted in incomplete information. In the absence of a full account of how the welfare check came about, people read Lai Mai's post as evasive. They questioned why she had not named Matthew. They wondered whether her silence about the circumstances meant she knew something she was not sharing. Lai Mai was a woman who had lost her sister and her niece and her nephew in circumstances that no official statement had yet fully characterized to the public. She was a woman who, just 3 months earlier, had lost her own husband suddenly to what doctors believed was a ruptured brain aneurysm, a loss so sudden and so devastating that the family was still holding that grief when this one arrived on top of it. She was navigating an incomprehensible accumulation of loss, while simultaneously being asked, by implication, to explain herself to an internet that had decided her silence was suspicious. The family statement confirms that no one in the family entered the home before police. Lai Mai's post was not evasive. It was a grieving sister choosing not to publicly name the person who killed her family while she was still in the immediate hours of that grief. A woman who had asked the family for privacy and who deserved to have that privacy respected rather than converted into suspicion. Both of those things can be true at the same time. And the theories that were built on her silence did not survive contact with the actual explanation, which is that she was doing the only thing most people could do in that moment, trying to hold herself together long enough to say that her sister was gone. And the affair theory, one of the most persistent alternative narratives that has circulated online, the suggestion that infidelity played a role in what happened on Sunday night, was not addressed by the family statement. The family did not confirm it. They did not deny it. It is not in any official record. No source connected to the official investigation has confirmed it publicly, and its absence from the statement is notable, but does not constitute either confirmation or refutation. It remains an unverified claim circulating in a conversation that the official investigation has not entered publicly. The motive has not been released. What the investigation holds and what it will eventually disclose remains outside what the public record currently contains. What the family chose to build in the aftermath of all of this is the part of this story I want to spend real time on, because I think it is the most important thing to come out of the May 20th statement, and because it tells you more about who Thai Mitchell was and about who her family is than anything else that has been made public since the investigation began. Thai's family has launched the Thai Mai Foundation, and I want to read you their mission statement because I think it is one of the most powerful things to come out of this entire case. They wrote, "No family should endure what ours has endured. The Thai Mai Foundation was created to turn grief into action, to fund programs, advocate for legislation, and build community resources that keep women and children safe. This foundation carries our spirit forward, fierce, protective, unwilling to look away. She built spaces where people felt welcome and safe. We intend to build a world where more women and children are safe, fierce, protective, unwilling to look away. Those are the words Thai's family chose to describe what they are building in her name. Not the restaurant empire, though the restaurants are still open and the staff is still showing up. Not the awards or the features or the board position, though all of that is real and documented. The words they chose are fierce and protective, the words of a family that is angry, that is channeling that anger into something, that has decided the system that failed to prevent what happened to Thai and Maya and Maxwell needs to be different, and that they are going to spend whatever energy they have left trying to make it different. The use of the word legislation in the Foundation's mission statement is deliberate and specific. This is not simply a grief support program. It is not only a scholarship fund. The Thai Mai Foundation is explicitly committing to advocate for legislative change, for laws that do not currently exist, for access points that were not in place for this family, for systemic protections that might create the possibility of reaching someone like Matthew Mitchell before a Sunday night in May becomes a Monday morning welfare check. Thai's own father, in the days after the deaths, pointed to 3 specific words as the context he believed mattered: depression, mental health, Texas gun laws. And now his daughter's foundation is being built around the intention to turn that context into policy. What laws would need to change? What resources would need to exist? What access points would need to be in place for someone to have reached Matthew Mitchell, a man with no prior police record, no court filings, no documented history of any kind, before May 4th? Those are not rhetorical questions. The Thai Mai Foundation is committing to pursue real answers to them, and they deserve to have people behind them when they do. In addition to the foundation, the Texas Restaurant Foundation and the Greater Houston chapter of the Texas Restaurant Association have established the Thai, Maya, and Max Memorial Hospitality Scholarship, named for all 3 of them. A scholarship to support the next generation of people entering the hospitality industry. The industry that gave her professional life to building. The industry that is now honoring her by investing in the people who will carry it forward in the same spirit she brought to every room she entered. The family is also holding a community tribute at the Warham Theater in Houston, open to anyone who wishes to pay their respects, from 10 in the morning until 2:30 in the afternoon. And in lieu of flowers, the family is asking people to direct their support to the Thai Mai Foundation. Not flowers that will wilt and be discarded. A foundation, legislation, programs, resources, things that last beyond the grief and do something with it. That is what the family chose to build with the worst thing that has ever happened to them. And in a case where so much of what has been reported has been incomplete or inaccurate or speculation dressed as fact, the clarity and the resolve of that choice is worth naming directly and holding with the weight it deserves. The Thai Mai Foundation is not a tribute, it is a commitment. And it is the most honest possible expression of who Thai Mai was. A person who, by every account from every person who knew her, spent her professional life building spaces where people felt safe and welcome. Her family is now building a world where more of those spaces exist by law, not just by the grace of extraordinary individuals who happen to create them. Here is where the case stands as of the family's statement on May 20th, 2026. The Houston Police Department's homicide investigation is active and ongoing. No official motive has been released. No note has been confirmed. The full medical examiner findings have not been made public. Security camera footage from inside the home has been turned over to investigators and is being reviewed. The pregnancy detail has been officially corrected by the family. It is false. No official source ever confirmed it, and it does not appear in the autopsy report. The family is asking that Thai be remembered by her maiden name, Mai. The school pickup sequence has been confirmed as the actual origin of the welfare check. The babysitter arrived at school to find the children had never been dropped off, not simply noticed unanswered messages. The scene was undisturbed when officers entered. No family member or individual entered the home before law enforcement. No prior police calls to the home in the 6 months before May 4th. No court filings. No documented domestic violence history. The affair theory has not been addressed by any official or family statement. The investigation holds evidence the public has not seen. Anyone with information relevant to this investigation is encouraged to contact HPD at 713-308-3600. The question that every update to this case returns to has not changed and has not been answered. Why did Matthew Mitchell do what investigators say he did? The family's father named depression, mental health, and gun laws as the context he believed was relevant. The Thai-My Foundation is being built around the intention to change what those words mean in terms of legal access and protection for other families. And the security footage in the hands of investigators may eventually produce a picture of what happened inside that home on a Sunday night in May that no public statement has yet been able to provide. What we know is that a man who by every external measure had built something worth building, who named every cocktail on both menus, who showed up at the Vietnamese family gathering and went all in without hesitation, who had dinner plans for Monday night with friends who were waiting at a table, carried something heavy enough to destroy everything he built and everyone he loved, and no one around him could see it. Not his closest professional colleague, who called him a great friend right up until the end. Not the friends who were expecting him that Monday. Not the community that had just celebrated him and his wife as restaurateurs of the year. And not, as far as the public record shows, anyone connected to any system that might have had the capacity to reach him. The invisibility of it, the total documented, confirmed absence of any warning sign in any record, is the thing the Thai-My Foundation is now committed to making impossible for other families. The gap between what the law currently allows and what should exist is what Thai's family is now spending their grief trying to close. That is a powerful thing to witness. And it is the kind of response that turns a tragedy into something that, if the foundation succeeds, might eventually prevent another one. If you or someone you know is carrying something that feels too heavy to hold alone, please reach out. Call or text 988, the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, free, confidential, 24 hours a day. If you are in a situation that feels unsafe, the National Domestic Violence Hotline is available at 1-800-799-7233. If you would like to support the work the family is building in Thai's name, the Thai-My Foundation is accepting donations in lieu of flowers at the Tribute and beyond. Subscribe to True Crime Vault if you have not already. Hit the notification bell, hit the like button, drop a comment below with the question this update raises for you. This community is paying close attention, and what you notice matters. When this investigation moves again, when the security footage produces conclusions investigators are ready to share, when the official record releases the motive it has not yet released, when the Thai-My Foundation produces the legislative change it is committed to pursuing, we will be here to cover it. Every verified development, every time the record changes. Maya Mitchell never walked into school on May 5th. She was 8 years old, and she had rated her mother's dress a 10 out of 10 on the last Saturday they had together. Maxwell Mitchell never got to grow up. He was 4 years old, and he was found in his bed. Thai-My, not Thai Mitchell, not the headline version, but Thai-My, her name, the one she was born with, and the one her family is asking the world to remember. Never got to see her sister's wedding in Boston, and the dress they picked out together on that last Saturday afternoon, the one Maya made sure her mother was set with too, is still somewhere waiting. The family is building a foundation in her name. Fierce, protective, unwilling to look away. That is who they say she raised them to be. That is who the people who knew her say she was. And that is what the Thai-My Foundation is carrying forward. Her spirit, her belief that building spaces where people feel safe and welcome is not just a business philosophy, but a way of being in the world, into whatever comes next for a community that is still counting its grief in her name and still looking for answers the official record has not yet provided.